Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing.
Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 269 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. So you may love social media. You may hate social media. You may not care at all how many views you get, or you might care a lot. Whatever your relationship is with social media, this is a good episode to share because there's someone that needs to hear it, and you could be the only way they get it. And also, thank you for being here and for listening. And if you're new here, welcome. Okay, how many followers do I have? How many likes did I get? How many views did I get on that last post? How much of our day is spent wondering how to get more followers or how to get more likes and how to get the most views possible? When will it be enough? And why do we care so much? You are not alone if these hit home for you. I mean, we've been conditioned to think that they matter a lot. But even when you get tons of likes, now you want to get more likes. You want to outdo that last post. It's never enough. Why is that? Well, I could go into how suicide has risen in all age groups except for over 75. Some studies show it could be because of social media. Well, this is why I talk a lot about and so firmly believe we have to take care of our minds. We have to protect our internal peace. External validation is hollow because when it's not there, you feel like you're not good enough or you don't matter, none of which is true. So you have to make sure you're loving what you're doing, not just the attention you get for doing it. Because when that shifts, and it will, if you're primarily doing it for the attention or the validation, then when that goes away, you'll feel not good enough, like you don't matter. We were recently in the pool with our family, some of whom are pretty young. Our little great nephew is 7. His name is Xander. He is the most precious thing. He so wanted us all to see him doing his tricks off the diving board. He kept saying, "Watch me, watch this, rate me when I do this." He was seeking validation that he was doing good. He wanted to make sure that we all saw how brave he was. And let me tell you, he did a flip off that diving board for the first time without even thinking. It was pretty impressive. And we let him know. And then we also had some other friends there, and they had a little boy who was 3, and he was watching all this take place. And normally he wouldn't even go in the big pool, but he was so enthralled with this little 7-year-old Xander. Now all of a sudden he decides he wants to be in the big pool. Now he's not quite ready to go off the diving board yet, but he is running and jumping from the side of the pool onto the lily pad thing that we have where we're on each side of it. But he didn't care one thing about us. He wouldn't make one move until Xander was watching him. He so wanted Xander to see him and acknowledge him. The age of social media has shown us that we may never grow out of all that, wanting other people's eyes on us. I realized this for myself recently. I do reels on Instagram, and one may get 11,000 views, and one may get 300. Now, I noticed myself saying, okay, that one must not have been too good because it only got 300 views. I mean, I would feel my emotions fluctuating with how many views or likes or shares I got. I recognized pretty quickly that I needed to check myself. I created one recently that I loved. I mean, it resonated with me so much. But then it didn't do as well as I thought it should. So I started saying, well, it must not have been as good as I thought it was. Wait a minute. No. Everything I put out is something I'm proud of. Everything I put out, it's something I love. And that doesn't change because other people don't feel the same. It was like I was 7 again, jumping off the diving board, wanting everyone to look at me and rate me so that I can decide how good I am. No, I'm as good as I think I am, period. And so are you. It's easy to think we're alone in this world of social media, but recently there's a lady that I follow on Instagram. Her name is Tanya Lee. I'll put her name in the show notes, but she has the School of Self-Esteem. She's so good. She raises the bar for me, and I love it. I love people that have high standards for themselves because I do too. Anyway, she had dropped off a little bit from social media. And then this last week, she posted again with a story about taking a break because she had gotten a little tied up into what the algorithm would like instead of what she was passionate about. So she was basically posting things to get noticed, but not posting things that she loved or was passionate about. Now, I respect that she showed that side because that's easy to do. It's easy to try to please an algorithm instead of posting what you're passionate about and simply knowing it's good, regardless of the amount of attention it gets. If you rely on external validation, when it stops, you'll start looking elsewhere for it. And that can come in the form of food or drinking, overworking, people-pleasing, seeking to fill the hole that's left that never gets filled and can never get filled from external validation. So if you find yourself feeling sad or disappointed or depressed even, and it could be from other things other than social media, but you're not sure why you're feeling that way, and you'd like a tool to kind of know where it's stemming from, I have one, and it works, and I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to give you my experience first. I was having a moment the other evening where I was just sort of feeling down. I didn't really understand why. Nothing bad had happened. But then I remembered a reel that Dr. Amen, he is the brain doctor, and I'll put his name on in the show notes too, his Instagram handle, because he's another excellent follow. But he said when he's feeling down or kind of sad or depressed, he stops and he writes down what he's thinking right at that moment. And then he asks himself, is that true? Now, the majority of the time, the answer is no. The idea is to write your thoughts down because your thoughts will tell you why you're feeling a certain way. So I remembered that reel and I was like, I'm going to do that. And so some of the things were quite astounding. I'm actually embarrassed to say, but it was just a moment. I mean, this was how I was feeling in that moment. I don't always think like this, but I want to share what I wrote with you because I don't want you to think that you're alone in thoughts that don't serve you. So here's some of the things I wrote in my thought download that night when I was feeling down. No one seems to care about my message. No one cares about my podcast. I work so hard, and for what? It's a big world and I'm just so small. I don't matter. I'm afraid I'm not confident enough to put myself out there in the public speaking arena. Now, those are just a few of the thoughts I had at that moment. I actually wrote quite a few. Of course I was feeling down. Just listen to what I was saying to myself. Now, then I stopped and I did the second step that Dr. Amen suggested, where I asked if these thoughts were true. Okay, so I read them and I was like, well, no, I matter to a lot of people, and I started listing them down. I actually wrote down all of the people that I matter to. And then I said, I'm proud of my podcast, and I enjoy creating every single episode, and that's all that matters. Where my podcast is today, I could only have dreamed of when I first started. Me loving it, though, has to be enough, because we're programmed to always want more. If I had 1 million listeners, I would want 10 million. You know it's true. Then I wrote down, I'm enough. And life is working for me, not to me. And I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. I started feeling better immediately because I realized that I was searching for external validation when what I needed to know is that nothing matters except what I think. Am I getting value? Yeah. Do I feel like I'm adding value? Am I proud of what I'm doing? The answer is yes. When you're having feelings that aren't serving you, getting to the thought that's causing them and asking if it's true is so helpful, because so many of them are just thoughts. I mean, just sentences in our brain that do not amount to a hill of beans until we make them mean something. Knowing your own value and knowing that what you're doing is your very best is as good as life gets. Sure, there's lots of fun things, but true happiness and peace internally, that's what we're striving for. It isn't for external validation. That's fleeting. We don't need everyone else's eyes on us to feel seen. Everyone else is worried about their own life. Look around. It's true, and that's okay. And that's how it's meant to be, in fact. It's my job to take care of my own thoughts and my own internal world. No one can do that for me. I just have to acknowledge that what I'm doing is my best and make sure every day that that's what I'm putting forward. My best. So stop worrying what other people think. They're not worried, but they're worried about themselves. Take care of you. Here's what I'm working on telling myself every morning as I go through my morning routine. So I have 5 things that I've started writing down just to make sure that I always remember them. And I will put these in the show notes as well because I think that they're very valuable. All right, so these are the 5 things. Number 1, I'm good enough just as I am. Number 2, I matter, period. Number 3, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Number 4, life is always working in my favor. If you think about that, that's true. And finally, today is going to be a good day. If you start the day off thinking that, you're going to be looking for where the good is. Those are 5 things that if you would tell yourself that, just write them down, breathe them in, put them on an alarm, but you have to believe it. Believe it, and it will be true. I promise you that. Now, it's already true. We just have to get on board. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.